Welcome to the Workplace Mentoring and Midday Mentoring Volunteer Orientation for the 2023-2024 school year. Today you'll learn about the WITS mission and vision, why WITS, and our core values, community, empowerment, and consistency, who we serve, how we support our students, and what your role is as a mentor. WITS creates opportunities for every student in Chicago to be literate. Our mission is to empower Chicago elementary students to discover themselves through reading while developing foundational literacy skills. We do this by creating community through literacy-based mentorship, which you are here to learn about, and enabling teachers to build diverse classroom libraries and promoting book ownership at home. A little bit about the why. According to most recent data, 28% of CPS fourth graders are proficient readers. This is down quite significantly from pre-pandemic, pre-remote learning numbers. And we are actually seeing some great data coming out even more recently that is showing that CPS students are catching up. We know that our students and teachers are working really hard to help our students academically and socially. Learning happens in the context of relationships. WITS mentors provide undivided and consistent attention to students, which even the most attentive teachers just don't have 45 minutes or an hour every week for every single one of their students. So it's a really valuable opportunity for you to have that one-on-one connection with a young person. I'll call your attention here to the statistic that 90% of students reported feeling good or very good about spending time with their mentors. So we're going to talk about program structure. We're going to talk about reading with students and some other tips and logistics. But really what it comes down to is you being a consistent and positive presence for your student, being there and having fun with them every session. Right, community, who do we serve? Midday mentoring serves second, third, or fourth graders, and workplace mentoring serves fourth, fifth, and sixth graders. So we're gonna have a little context here about fourth graders since that's the middle age of the students we serve, just a little bit of background. So for fourth graders this year, their entire first grade year was during lockdown, during remote learning. And after that, quite a bit of their schooling was interrupted by quarantines and periods of remote learning. So our students are experiencing ripple effects from that, again, both academically and socially. So we do want to keep that in mind. Pandemic or not, fourth graders are socially, peer relationships are really important to them. You know, the older students get towards those middle school years, their friends become increasingly important to them. They're developing that self-identity and learning to self-regulate. Schoolwork is getting a lot more focused on writing, critical thinking, and project-based work. Third grade is the first year of standardized testing, state standardized testing. So fourth graders are continuing that, and schoolwork continues to get more and more rigorous. Physically, as we get into fourth, fifth, sixth grade, in those tween years, students are having growth spurts. They may be starting puberty, and so especially after a long day of school for our after-school students, they may be tired or not having their absolute best day. And we want to make sure that we're showing up for all of our students, no matter what age they are, even if they are struggling. We want to show up for them and show them that we are happy to see them. A little more specifically, our WITS students are second to sixth grade CPS students. Again, our younger students are in midday mentoring and our older students are in workplace mentoring, with that overlap being in the fourth grade year. Teachers sometimes select students or recommend students for both programs, and we welcome students of any reading level or any social skill level. We know that all students are benefiting from the focused attention of a caring adult, and that all students are benefiting from conversations about books with you. Struggling readers would also benefit from being read out loud to in particular. If you're a fourth grader reading at a second grade level, the books that you can read yourself are boring and they're for little kids. And so you have the opportunity to read to them more exciting, interesting books that their peers are reading, and that can be really valuable for them. WITS believes that all students, regardless of race, ethnicity, national origin, gender identity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, citizenship, or ability, deserve the space to be themselves. There are many people who make up the WITS community, more than are listed here, but we'll just go over a few people who make our programs possible. Your WITS program staff member, your program coordinator, is going to be your main point of contact for questions and concerns about the program and your student. This is the person from the WITS staff who's going to be at every session with you, who's going to be sending you reminder emails, and they are your point person for anything about program. Our corporate coordinators organize WITS within the company. They help with recruiting mentors, securing space for workplace mentoring, and generally working the WITS program into the company and the company culture. You, our mentors, build positive relationships with students based on mutual respect and a shared love of reading. Behind the scenes, our caregivers, teachers, and administrators are making sure that we have a space at the school for midday mentoring, making sure that they give us attendance for our programs, making sure that parents are making sure they can pick their students up from after-school programs when they get back to school. So they are a little bit less visible to us, but no less important. Students are the reason we show up every week, so we're all working together to make sure they're staying safe and having fun. And at workplace mentoring, we also have a school coordinator who is someone who chaperones the students to and from programs. So they're in touch with our families and ensure student safety at our programs. WITS programs are student-directed reading, enrichment programs. They're the focused attention from a caring adult, student center, and a community of students and mentors. So besides getting to know your student, you may get to know other students in the program, maybe get to know colleagues of yours who you don't work with directly, or even people from other companies who are participating in WITS. So each program really does have its own feel and is a really unique community. WITS programs aren't tutoring or academic interventions. We're certainly supporting students in their reading, but we are not teachers and we are not providing focused attention on any academic issues. It's not workforce development, and it's certainly not about us. Next up, empowerment, how we serve our students. So our program logistics, this is for both midday mentoring and workplace mentoring program, is once a week. We typically start in October and go through Memorial Day following the CPS calendar. So there is a winter break, spring break, and sometimes a few other days off. Mentors can volunteer every single week, every other week, alternating with a coworker or as a substitute. So if you are an every other week volunteer, as most volunteers are, you would go one week, your partner would go the next week. And then if you are sick, out of town, something like that, your partner can go instead of you so that your student can see one of two familiar faces as much as possible. We do also have substitutes, so we have those folks fill in when neither partner can attend. You will work with the same student for the entire program here, and building that relationship is a key part of our program. So midday mentoring is at the school. The first 5 minutes is community building, so check-in question or short activity to help you and your student get a conversation started and get to know the whole group. And the next 40 minutes is shared reading. WITS provides all the books and materials, and there will be book bins and book displays. You'll go up to the books, pick a book with your student, and then take turns reading out loud to each other. Workplace mentoring takes place at your office. First 10 minutes is community building. We'll do activities similar to midday mentoring activities, conversation starters. It usually takes a little bit longer. We like to spend a little more time getting everyone settled into the space for our after-school programs. Next 30 minutes is shared reading. So again, you'll go up to the book bin, pick a book, and read with your student. And then at workplace mentoring, since this program is an hour, we do have 20 minutes set aside at the end for students to have help with their homework if they choose to. So you may be helping students with homework from any subject, and we can help you with it if you need help. Our top 5 tips for reading at WITS: we always recommend taking your cues from your student. If your student loves talking and chatting, you might be doing a lot more of this type of questioning. If your student is a little quieter, especially at the beginning of the year, you certainly do not have to be asking them so many questions if they don't seem like they really are excited about this type of conversation at this point in the year. Always go up to the book bin with your student. Helping them choose a book is a great way to get to know them. You can ask them questions like, do you have a favorite author? Do you want to read fiction or nonfiction? If you were reading with a 2nd or 3rd grade student, picking a book might be a little bit of a new process for them, and they might not know a lot about what they like to read. So it can be a really fun opportunity to help them figure out that identity as a reader. And your older students might be a little bit more expert in their favorite authors or topics. And either way, it's a really fun experience to select books with your student. Ask open-ended questions while you're reading, like what do you think is going to happen next? Model your own thinking to show students that adults are figuring things out too, and just to show them how you're thinking about reading. This is really nice, especially if your student is a little quieter, doesn't want to talk, you can just do some modeling for them. I wonder why this happened. Hang on, I'm confused. I'm gonna go back to the previous page and see if I can figure out what's going on. Things like that. Talk with your student. Talking about anything is crucial in building your relationship. So conversations about books are really important for comprehension, forming that identity as a reader that I was mentioning. But it's also great if you want to talk about pancakes or dinosaurs or whatever your student wants to talk about that day. Lastly, don't overcorrect. So if a student stops because they can't say a word, wait about 3 seconds and then tell them how to say the word. If this happens more than about 3 to 5 times on a page, the book might be too hard for them to read on their own. So either you can read it to them, or you can suggest picking a different book for that day. You're going to be getting to know your student over the course of the year, reading books, talking to them, and they might ask you questions that take you by surprise. So we always want to take our cues from our students, listen to them, and validate their experiences. So if you're asked a question that you do not feel prepared to answer, we have some suggestions for supportive responses. That's a good question. Sounds like this is really important to you, or I appreciate you sharing this with me. Even if it is a topic that you do not want to talk about, you don't know the answer to, or you don't think is really appropriate to be talking about at program, we want to make sure we're not making students feel like they did something wrong by asking. We want to remember that it's an honor that they asked us, that they're comfortable talking to us about their questions and concerns. So if you find yourself in a conversation that you don't feel equipped to have, or you think you're not the best person to have that conversation with your student, you can tell them that. You can say, I'm not sure I have an answer right now, but you've given me a lot to think about. Or I'm not sure I'm the best person to talk about this, but I can try to find someone who is. And then you can check in with your WITS staff member, your program coordinator, and say, have they been talking about this topic at school? Do you know if there's anyone who can help them with this? Consistency, your role as a mentor. We always want to assume the best. As adults working together to support young people, we operate with the understanding that we're all doing our best for our students. So we know that WITS staff, mentors, coordinators, school staff, and students' families are all on the same team. We all ask questions in good faith and communicate in order to understand each other and do right by our students. So we do want to hear from you, your concerns, your questions. And also we will do our best to communicate any changes to program or anything we know about our students and our programs to you. So keeping sessions on track. You'll have a WITS program coordinator, again, managing the room and helping everyone. And so program staff will likely be helping if a student is struggling with something. At the same time, your staff member may be helping someone else or maybe not notice right away if you're having a hard time with something. So we just want to let you know that all of the adults at program have a shared responsibility to make sure students are staying safe and having fun. You're a role model and you can redirect students to behave appropriately. So if students are doing something unsafe, like tipping back in their chair, using materials in an unsafe manner, or maybe getting up like as if they're going to leave the group, you can and should redirect them and say, we need to treat the books gently. Please don't tip back in your chair, things like that. If your student's being disrespectful or rude, you can tell them, I know you want to talk about this. Let's wait until Ms. Trilisha is done talking. And of course, you can always talk to your WITS program staff member, flag them down if you need support in redirecting your student. We really don't see a lot of what we would consider to be behavior issues at WITS. We really want to be pretty flexible with students and only redirecting behavior that is unsafe or that is really disrespectful or distracting others. Our expectations of our mentors is you can attend at least 80% of your scheduled sessions, communicate with your program staff member if you need to miss a session, share any questions or concerns you have with us, be fully present and engaged with your student during sessions, participate in all program activities, review emails from your program staff and reply if necessary, set boundaries with your student, and follow all program policies. Our policies are that you should reach out to us if you have questions or concerns. Please do not be alone with a student. Do not take photos of students. Silence your cell phone during program. Don't contact your program student outside program time. So if your student asks you for your contact information, you do have to tell them no. And then if you're suspicious of child abuse or neglect, tell your WITS staff member right away. Per CPS's health screener, please do not attend WITS if you have experienced COVID-19 symptoms in the past 24 hours, tested positive in the last 5 days, you're awaiting COVID-19 test results, and just in general, please do not attend WITS if you feel sick. On this page, I would especially like to call your attention to the teacher quote in the top right here. Our students really need this one-on-one opportunity to speak, talk, and read with an adult other than a family member. While our students like reading during school, this program gives them a new, authentic way to share books and have discussions with others about books. So that culture of reading and promoting that love of reading is a really important part of WITS for all of us and our teachers especially. Your program staff member will be in touch with resources throughout the year. So please do check those emails and reach out to them. We have a volunteer resource page and a great blog on our website. Please check those out. Thank you so much for giving your time to WITS.